the new chill changes, I decided that I wanted to try a Frost Breath Ice Crash character. So right now I'm playing Berserker. I am level 67, and I am quickly going to run a map and show you what it looks like. So the main idea behind this build is that the Frost Breath unique doubles damage against enemies when they're chilled. And with the changes to chill, pretty much enemies are going to be chilled all the time as soon as you get one hit off with them. This means that any flat damage that you add to the skill is going to be doubled, which is actually really strong. Especially because they just increased the damage, the flat damage added of the added cold gem, and they buffed the ice bite gem to add cold per frenzy charge. So like I said, right now I'm playing Marauder for the Berserker specifically for the 40% increased damage, but I think that I would rather go Slayer with this build. As you can see, for auras we're running Hatred and we're running Herald of Ice, and on the Herald of Ice we have Curse on Hit, and we have Frostbite with the Curse on Hit to lower the enemy's cold resistance so that we deal even more damage. I leveled this character using Sunder, which was good, and then once I had the cold conversion to the tree, I switched over into Ice Crash, and it has gone really well since then, and I'm running with almost no good gear right now, which is in part why you see I have such a low life value. That's also partially because I skipped the Scion life wheel until right now in the leveling process because I wanted to try a few things, but that was just not a good idea. And if you level with this character in 3.0, or if I do, just go straight into the Scion life wheel before I would go straight up to the Scion life wheel before I went into the Templar area, and that would give me a nice boost in life at this point, so I would be a lot more survivable. Though it is noticeable how the freezing and chilling mechanic does provide a nice boost of defense. So we're going to kill these mobs, then we'll do our gem swap hypothermia in for ice bite. And you can see the boss damage is not fantastic by any means, but with the boss life changes I feel like this is pretty acceptable level of damage. With a little bit more life, a little more survivability, I feel like this would be even smoother, and the damage only scales from here, especially when you start getting some damage flasks. So here is what my tree currently looks like. I only have 2 ascendancy points with some more leech, even more survivability, some more attack speed, cannot be stunned, it's going to be even better. I have iron reflexes, I have conversion, life, resolute technique, area of effect, and damage right now in my level 67 tree. And I'm running a stone golem and an ancestral warchief. So let's hop over into path of building. This is what my endgame tree would look like with this character. We're picking up frenzy charges for more damage with ice bite. We're getting conversion here, elemental damage. And you notice in the endgame we drop resolute technique in order to pick up elemental overload. 40% more multiplier is really strong. In order to make sure we're hitting, we then use the Lycosidae unique shield. So for leveling this character, I came through the damage nodes, down through life, down to duelist life. When you're leveling, I would recommend picking up Dervish and leveling with Frostback Breath, and then using the Princess in the offhand. The Princess is really cheap, and it gives you the roll for physical damage as added cold actually gives you a lot of damage. So you notice we're not really losing that much damage when we switch over to that. So you would take Dervish when leveling, and then once you pick up the Lycosidae, you would respec to go through the shield nodes here. Come down through life, go straight over, take the cold conversion, damage, life, cold penetration. At this point you should pick up resolute technique in the Scion life wheel, then travel up through Templar to grab life, area of effect, elemental damage with attacks, Elemental damage with maces, although this is kind of optional. This would probably be the last thing I would pick up on this tree. More life, chaos res, finally elemental overload. Once you get this keystone, you would drop resolute technique, and at that point you either need to get accuracy on your gear or you need to have the Lycosidae shield. And that is worth it. It is a pretty big damage boost. Like I said, this is currently my build with a Berserker, so I can get the aspect of Carnage. After that, I would go Pain Reaver, and probably finally Rite of Ruin. However, I think that going a Duelist is actually going to be stronger for this character. You notice we do take a hit in the DPS number over here, but that's not really a big deal, because the Duelist offers free Onslaught, so we can drop the Silver Flask and gain another Flask. And additionally, it gives you Culling Strike, which bosses you saw were really the main point we needed more damage, and this effectively gives bosses 20% less health because you're killing as soon as they get under that threshold of 20%. So with the boss life buff, I think that this node is what's going to make this stronger than Berserker. You're going to grab more damage, more area, that's another advantage over Berserker, and then finally the leech nodes for some more defensiveness. This tree is pretty much the same. Take the life, go through Dervish, life, grab the conversion, at which point you can start using Ice Crash, probably around level 30. It does feel actually decent at that point. Grab more elemental damage, grab the life, cold penetration, come up, resolute technique, life, path through here, elemental overload, finally pick up your jewel sockets and pick up your frenzy charges. The frenzy charges do give you a boost in damage since we're having Ice Bite, and that's giving us flat cold. So you see right now all our damage is versus Shaper Guardian. If we switch it to not Shaper Guardian, we're getting about 377,000. The links for most effectiveness are Ice Crash, elemental damage, added cold, hypothermia, Ice Bite, and increased area of effect. If you feel like you have enough area, you can switch to Ruthless, which will give you more damage for the actual mapping, but then you can't swap in Conk for boss damage, which means you do have a little bit less damage for bosses. When you're fighting a boss, if you do choose to use Ink AoE, you would switch that for concentrated effect, and you would switch Ice Bite for cold penetration. And doing that puts us up to about 500, almost 550k damage. Also, the Duelist has a little bit more life. In this version, we have 5.6k life, and that's not wearing a Belly of the Beast. That would be ideally the body armor that you want to get. The gear we're using here, Frost Breath, Lycosidae, Starkonia's is good for the attack speed since Ice Crash does have the lower attack speed. You're looking for Flat Fizz, Flat Cold, Weapon Elemental, Life, and Res on gear. This isn't GG gear by any means, it's pretty good endgame gear. Prison Weave, you can use this. It does give you a nice boost in damage, otherwise you can use a rare life physical damage belt. For flasks, ideally you want Taste of Hate, Its Series Promise, The Wise Oak. If you're going Marauder, Silver Flask. Taste of Hate and Wise Oak are kind of the more expensive end game options, but picking up an Its Series Promise will give you a nice little damage boost. So this is the Ice Crash Slayer build. I think that this is going to be really strong in 3.0. Thanks for watching.